We've got a question for you. Nick Woltemade, is he coming into FC Bayern Munich? Is he staying at VfB Stuttgart? Or is he going to move on to another club in another league entirely? It's an intriguing question, right? And this video, this is going to be our attempt to lift the lid and have a little bit of a look inside. And in order to do that, it does mean we've got to look at the backstory of Nick Woltemade, where he's come from. We've got to look at how the transfer saga played out across the entire summer in the public domain, by the way. And then we've got to look at the infrastructure of FC Bayern to find out what's going on there, because it feels like there's a lot of palpable friction between Uli Hoeneß, former player, manager, businessman, president, fascist dictator, and the sporting bros, right? The sporting director bros of Max Eberl and Christoph Frun. There's something going on there, isn't there? So, without further ado, do us a favour, Gonzo. Slick us up. Slip me up a transition. So we've established that in 24-25, that was a breakout season for Nick Woltemade. Again, 17 goals and 3 assists. That came in a Bundesliga season. Saison? That is German, by the way. Saison.
You are a fucking idiot.
In a season where VfB Stuttgart finished in 9th. No European football from that entry route. However, his 5 goals and his assist in that run to the eventual trophy lift, because of course VfB Stuttgart went on to lift the DFB Pokal, the German Cup.
Oh, clap that in.
By virtue of that,
Fucking
they're
love
now going to
that.
be playing
Love
European
that.
football. So again, he's scoring goals, he can assist players. He's not just your Sterico. I think it's time for some Mars. Not a sponsored video, Alan.
Two-siders, please, Barman.
He's not just your typical tall frontman, is he? He's taller than a Nicholas Füllkrug, right? We've established he's taller than Benjamin Šeško, and like Benjamin Šeško, Woltemade is technically very good. He's very good with his feet. Yes, he can hold the ball up, which allows your team to press up and occupy more space. And of course, as we know, work the space if you're Jack, who just won the league, didn't he? He won the Content Creators League that was effectively hosted by Zealand. Well done on that, Jack. Working the space, finding space, creating space. That's the formula, right, for any team scoring goals in a fussball match. That's the secret, right? Working the space. And this guy, Woltemade, he knows how to do that. He's got a Thomas Muller size brain up there somewhere, wherever he is in the clouds, because of course he's 6'5", right? So he's not just a tall guy that you lump the ball up to. Yes, he can hold it up, but he recorded 36 dribbles last season, right? And I did read an article, which I will link in the description box down below. There's a couple of quotes, the likes are from Pizarro. Of course, FC Bayern Munich fans will be well aware of who Pizarro is. He points out that, yes, you see the history of German strikers not just in the Bundesliga, but for the national team, they're always tough, big guys scoring lots of goals. You get something different now with Woltemade, right? It's very, very rare that you get that height, that brain, and that ability to link up with his teammates, which Woltemade does. Again, that's what we're trying to say in that opening section, that not just in the DAS German Super Cup final, but for most of last year, Woltemade would interchange positions on the pitch with the likes of Dennis Undav, once at Brighton and Hove Albion, and Ermantrud Demirovic. Side note, subject to a transfer potentially to dirty Leeds of the Midlands. Anyway, yeah, he can interchange with his teammates. He doesn't just have to be the guy up front. He can drop back into an attacking midfield position. His link-up play with wingers, the likes of Chris Furyk, with Jamie Llewellyn, even the guys at the back, right, with a Hendricks, with a Maxi Mittelstadt, who of course is the Aaron Ramsey lookalike. Yeah, he's got a brain, he can think, he can look around, and he can dribble. Like we say, 36 dribbles last season. And actually, there is another quote from a guy called Cacao. Check out his real name, by the way. Cacao is real name Claude Meyer Geronimo Barreto. No wonder it got shortened to Cacao. And actually, this guy Cacao was Brazilian by birth, but then actually, under Joachim Löw, did play for Deutschland. Did get, 22, 23 games for the national team around about 2010, 2012. Went to the World Cup, by the way, this guy Kakao, who, funnily enough, played for Stuttgart, which is why I mentioned him. His teammates used to call him Helmut because they said, do you know what? You need dash traditional German name. Anyway, so Helmut, who is Kakao, whose real name is Claudemine Geronimo Barreto. He was a striker, right? He's just out of interest, because you might be interested, in 263 games for Stuttgart back between 2003 and 2014. Scored 80 goals. Wow, I mean, that's worth clapping in, right? No wonder he went to the World Cup. That. He did score, by the way, in the World Cup 2010 in South Africa. Put those fucking vuvuzelas in the fucking bin. There was nothing more irritating, was there, than going to a football match or watch it on telly around about that period in history where all you heard was that fucking... Anyway, get a fucking kazoo, you know, bit of greaseproof paper, round a comb. I'm sure the Professor Paul will enjoy that one. Anyway, as Kakao points out, this guy Voldemade, amazing player, can score goals, come up with assists, perfect number 9, unconventional because of his height, but technically very good. He talks about his dribbles as well. And more than a target man. Do you see where this is going, by the way? The logic here is like, right, so he can play as a target man, he can drop back to play as a number 10, as an attacking midfielder. Who's fucking shy of that level of talent right now? Can you think, Gonzo? You got any ideas? You feel free to put them in the comment section down below. That was a bit of a wind-up, by the way. It's Bayern Munich, innit? FC Bayern Munich are crying out for someone like that. Because Harry, bless him, Harry Kane, he can't carry that load on his own, can he, all season? As proven last season. Harry Kane missed a couple of key games, right? Key games against Leverkusen when... Did they get knocked out of the DFB Pokal by Leverkusen? Yeah, and I think there were some key injuries to Harry Kane that cost them ultimately. So he can't carry the weight on his own, can he? And I'm sure as gifted as what Kusi Asar is going to be, and Choupo-Moting was before him, right? Think long-term, FC Bayern. Think of a successor. But you've also got to think about the here and now, because that squad is pretty fucking paper thin. Anyway, more on that later on. Let's just have a look then. So we've established that he's a talent, is Nick Woltemade. He's scoring the goals. He can work with his teammates. He's got a Thomas Muller-sized brain. He might be unconventional, but he's a package at number 9 or number 10. So obviously, FC Bayern are going to be interested in, and most of the fucking footballing world was interested in Voldemade because he had an incredible under-21s tournament for Deutschland at the Euros last summer. All right, he got a silver medal, but his goals did power Deutschland to that final. So he's on the radar of all the football clubs around the world, especially in Europe anyway. So it's at that point, let's pick up with the likes of... let's pick up with Julian Agade. He's a guy that we've come across recently on X, who's a fussball reporter for Bild. Again, big fucking Das German powerhouse of news and sports reporting, right? And he's got a focus, because I learnt the translation of the word Schwerpunkt. Anyway, focus, right? So Julian Nagali's got a focus on FC Bayern, right? So let's pick up in the timeline during this summer, right? So this is June 29th. Nick Woltemade will and by the way, I've had to use Grok and various translate bits of software to figure out what the fuck's going on, right? So Julian Nagadi, go and follow him, by the way, on X, because he knows his onions. He's got the minerals and he knows his onions. Nick #Woltemade will transfer from VfB to FC Bayern. For this reason, the striker declined offers from up the Chelsea. Up the Chelsea. That's a shock, innit? Innit, Big Jim? Up the Chelsea.
Up the Chelsea.
Somebody's turned you down. Maybe. Oh, and if I could get away with it without copyright reasons, Gonzo, cue Elvis Costello. Because we find some fucker who doesn't want to go to Chelsea. Way! Mic dropping out. Thank you, good night. That's for you, Wee Allen. My work here is done. It's
you are a fucking
video to finish off. Anyway, Nick Woltemade declined an offer from Chelsea, and I'm assuming that Neapel is Napoli. What are they called in Football Manager? Is it Parenthon? Anyway, he's declined that after his European Under-21 European Championship. Silver medal, still fucking good. His full focus, his full Schwerpunkt?
Stick to your day job, son.
His full focus is on the FC Bayern transfer. He's already expressed this desire to his club, to VfB Stuttgart, several times. Keep that phrase in mind as well. Nick Woltemade has expressed his desire to his club, to Sebastian Hoeneß, to that Volgamouth guy, that he wants to go to FC Bayern, right? July the 11th. FC Bayern sent an official offer to VfB for Nick Woltemade yesterday evening, right? So this happened. First offer goes out from FC Bayern, from Max Eberl, and don't forget Christoph Freund, the sporting director Bros, and I'm sure it was signed off by the supervisory board. Again, more on them later on. The initial offer then was 40 million euro plus 5 million in bonuses. Stuttgart rejected that offer. So VfB CEO again, Alexander Wirl, plus I should probably add, and I should have mentioned that already, their sporting director, Fabian Volgmuth, not Vermouth, but Volgmuth. That's probably poor pronunciation. Anyway, Wirl, Volgmuth, plus Sebastian Hoeneß, who weirdly, and this is probably got to be a factor too. Sebastian Hoeneß, current head coach of VfB Stuttgart, is the fucking nephew. It's the nephew of Uli Hoeneß, who's president, former player, striker, player manager, businessman, fascist dictator, right? He's fucking nephew, and he's the head coach, and he's sat with his main asset being the asset that Bayern Munich want, Nick Woltemade. Anyway, CEO Alexander Wirl continues to refuse a personal meeting, presumably with Jan Christian Driesen, CEO's opposite number, refuses a personal meeting with Bayern. July 16th now, getting closer to my birthday, FC Bayern has submitted a second offer to VfB. Second offer, this time for Nick Woltemade. The offer is 50 million, so it's gone up incrementally a little bit, right? 50 million fixed plus 5 million in bonuses. Now, if you can remember, Wirl, Volgmuth and Hoeneß, they're expecting 80 million, right? So they've said from day one, they've anchored high. Good bit of business terminology there. Not mansplaining, just putting it out. Anyone can do this, right? And negotiating with your children, with your partner, with your friends, with your employer. Anchor high, always anchor high, right? So Stuttgart anchoring high, 80 million. That's what we want out of the gate. 80 million, right? First offer goes in, 40 million. It's like, fucking hell, lad. It's half of it. Which, to be fair, is a tactic that I often adopt on Vinted. So if you ever list something, some football merchandise, a jersey, a shirt, a tricot, and you put it on for 40, and some comes in at 20.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
You know it's me, right? So again, they wanted 80, FC coming with 40. This second offer is 50, right? So it's still 30 shy of the perceived value, the intrinsic value that Wirl, Volgmuth and Hoeneß have put on Nick Woltemade, right? So 50 million fixed, plus 5 million bonuses, and a 10% resale clause was also included, right? So at least a future version of Woltemade is going to supply some money, trickle back down to the club, right, to Stuttgart. Stuttgart go, no, not having that. That was Wednesday morning, so that's July 16th. 19th now. Nick Woltemade, FC Bayern will not submit a third offer to VfB in the coming days. The Munich team wants to meet personally with the Stuttgart team before sending the offer. Bearing in mind, Alexander Wirl have gone, no personal meeting. You're not catching me out with my guard down, right, Gordon Gecko. We're not doing it. The catch, VfB Stuttgart continues to reject such a meeting. 26th, and my birthday's been and gone. I am yesterday's chit rapper. Nick Woltemade is not returning to Guernsey, not Guernsey or Jersey, where Matt Letizia was brought up on, right? Those islands. Not returning to Guernsey. And by the way, just an FYI, I had to look this one up. It's a huge lake like a Como, like Lake Michigan, and around it, a lot of Bundesliga football teams, actually not just Bundesliga, but teams throughout the pyramid, right? They go to this location to do pre-season fitness training, conditioning, because I guess the climate, right? I guess the climate's great, and it feels like, if I'm looking at some images on Bing and Ask Jeeves and Instagram, mainly Ask Jeeves, that it's in a remote part of the world, right? Obviously, journalists will find a fucking way. Hacks, people like Agade and his mate who features later on, Daniel Houth. Is it Houth Young? And Florian Plettenberg, those, and Fabrizio's always there, isn't he? Right? He's always hiding behind a bush, stuck to his BlackBerry. Anyway, July 26th, Nick Woltemade is not returning to this training camp. He's going back to VF Bow. In the morning, the striker will undergo his performance diagnostics. What, is he a fucking piece of hardware? I suppose in a way, yeah, he's been treated like it's a commodity, like most footballers are, and we do forget that, don't we? At times, people. We do. It's like going to the movies, isn't it? Fucking hell. Ironically, if you're an FC Bayern fan, the whole fucking summer's been a horror movie, hasn't it? Like,
Tell us a joke we know.
Track, right? Yeah, you suspend your disbelief, don't you? That when you're watching a movie, that actually it's not real, right? So he's gone for his. Yeah, the commodity that is Nick Woltemade has gone for this diagnostics and fitness test. He's going to do it in Bad Cannstatt. We've been, haven't we? Yes, of course. Of course, VfB Stuttgart's stadium, the Nacker Stadium, which is on the river Nacker, right, which kind of splits the city in two. It's a gorgeous place, by the way. The day after tomorrow, they will head to Rotteneggen. Woltemade still aims to join FC Bayern. Just keep that in mind, people, right? In his head, he's gone, right? He's checked out. It's like a bad relationship, bad marriage, bad working environment. He's already checked out, right? Woltemade still aims to join FC Bayern. That was July 26th. Now we pick up with Julian's mate, Daniel Haug, who, just to put him on screen for a second, he's a sports journalist, and a commentator with a K, a reporter, redactor, is a sports writer. This is a translation here. Look, the exact wording regarding Woltemade. This is from the sporting director Fabian Wohlgemuth, is our stance has not changed. Nick will, with a very, very high likelihood, also be part of our squad this season. Ironically, he wasn't in that photo, was he? That squad photo, but that's because he was recovering from his outrageous performance at the Euros. An invitation from the FC Bayern bosses has not yet been received. Right, so it's like, again, this is weird game of poker playing out, and this is part one of a 3-part thread. So just stay with us. Part 1 of 3. Nick Woltemade remains a big topic at FC Bayern. No shit, Sherlock. Yesterday, the bosses, and I assume that means the supervisory group. More on them later on, but it does effectively include Herbert Heine, who's the president. Herbert Heine, pretty sure I pronounced that right. Herbert Heine. Ollie Hoeneß will be in the mix, as well as Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, both former FC Bayern Munich players, legends, icons. One sold the other one, by the way, in a dark time in Bayern Munich's history to save the club. Yeah, Ollie Hoeneß did once sell Karl-Heinz Rummenigge to Inter Milan in Italy to raise money to keep the club on a more financial, sustainable footing. So you got those 3 characters, plus you've then got Jan Christian Driesen, CEO, and you've got Max Eberl and Christoph from the Sporting Bros, the Sporting Director's boss. So anyway, they're the bosses, I assume this is implying. The bosses at FC Bayern Munich met to discuss the next steps internally. Bayern wants to stay firm and not submit a third offer to VF Bow. Willingness to meet the team is still there, though, but they're coming up against the hand, aren't they? Second part, FC Bayern would like to meet VF Bow regarding Nick Woltemade. However, for this to happen, the Swabians, and I guess that's the name for the region in which Stuttgart is as a city within the province of Germany, right? The Swabians is a nickname. It's a bit underhanded, but it kind of works. The Swabians, who were so far strictly refused a personal meeting, would need to take a step towards Bayern, right? So again, we're playing poker, we're playing chess, a bit of a standoff, bit of a West Side story going on. Verl and Wohlgemuth, again, Alexander and Fabian respectively, still see no reason to meet face-to-face for this personal meeting. The third part, the final part here. Nick Woldemade's mood in the VfB timeline is extremely bad. Bad cannstatt bad.
I think he likes it.
He has repeatedly made it clear internally while he was at that training camp, the Tegernsee, that big fucking lake, that he wants to leave Stuttgart. And he's asked the bosses and the coaching team to sit down with Bayern. Again, all this is playing out in the public domain. Florian Plettenberg, yeah, remember him? Sky reporter, moderator, transfer specialist, close to FC Bayern, just like our man Julian is. This was on the 6th of August. There's no ultimatum from Nick Woltemade or his camp towards FC Bayern. Woltemade remains professional with VfB, but once a fucking again, are you getting the message? He's made it clear that he would like to join FC Bayern before deadline day. However, no agreement is in sight, and both clubs are currently standing firm. That's not been translated, that's written in English. But again, that concept that Julian Nagare puts forward of a poker match still holds true. August 13th. Remember that date. This is a critical date in the timeline, right? So, up until this point, Woldemade allegedly in his head, and he's told the team at VfB, he's told Alexander Verl, he's told Fabian Vermouth, he's told Sebastian Hoeneß he wants to leave, he wants to go to FC Bayern Munich. Up until this point, FC Bayern Munich have put 2 offers on the table, both. Well, the first one, almost like an insult. I think I did my post on the time, or I've made the point in several videos around this point in the timeline, looking back over my shoulder. Mike Rutherford, Mike and the Mechanics, yeah. Of course, he was in Genesis.
Fucking love that.
And we do
love
wish
that.
Phil Collins a speedy recovery, because he's not very well, is he? Not very well, bless him. Anyway, looking back over my shoulder, I made that comment that first offer, bearing in mind VfB Stuttgart said from day one, 80 million euro is our anchor high. First offer from FC Bayern was 40. It's a fucking insult, even though it did include some bonus, some add-ons. Second was 50. It's like, come on, lads. It doesn't quite happen in person, but it happens on the phone, so it's like one of those blue jeans. Is that Billy Joel? No, it's not Billy Joel, is it? It's Neil Diamond in blue jeans.
Stick to your
blue
day job,
jeans,
son.
Zoom, Teams, fucking pick your poison, whatever. Right, a video conference call takes place between the 2 sets of sporting directors, supervisory board, the management teams. Right, we're there. It's like a scene out of Game of Thrones. I've only ever seen 6 episodes, so no spoilers, please.
Spoiler!
On the Bayern side, CEO Jan Christian Driesen, Max Eberl and Christoph Frun, right? So the sporting bros, the sporting directors. Meanwhile, Stuttgart are represented by Alexander Verl, CEO, Fabian Vollgemuth, sports director, and Christian Gentner, unidentified at this point in time. A fee of 60 million euro was discussed this time, assuming all parties cooperate. It's not really happened to this point, has it? That includes Woldemade. Apparently, he was open to foregoing or wavering parts of his salary to help finance the move. I mean, fucking hell, literally, like, how much more of a fucking science this guy got to say that I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I want to be over there. I know the grass isn't always green, and we'll come on to that later on, but if he's willing to forgo his salary, fucking hell, listen to the guy. Right. Anyway, I suppose he's still under contract, and that's the whole point, right? Stuttgart rejected the proposal immediately, right? It's not happening, right? Certainly not before the DAS Super Cup final, which took place, well, this was reported on the 13th. The final was, when was the final? Last Saturday, in which FC Bayern Munich won 2-1, goals from Harry Kane and Luis Diaz, their big money signing, right? So, again, we'll come on to that later on, but it's proof that every year, FC Bayern, and again, this will be backed up, hopefully, be backed up by Dishy Danny from Always Buying Chelsea and Liam from the Bayern View, that every year, FC Bayern do make one marquee signing. Last year, 24-25 season, it was Michael Olise. Before that, it was Harry Kane. And this season, it looks like it's going to be Luis Diaz and nobody else. Or is it? Again, there doesn't seem to be much progress made in this poker match between VfB and FC Bayern. And that again was reported by Julian Agarde and Toby Altschaffel. Again, he's another guy that is actually the chief sporting reporter for Das Bild, right? So we've got two heavyweights here reporting this stalemate effectively in the transfer. We pick up from a different news site. This is goal.com, right? Goal.com with some quotes here from Sebastian Hoeneß. Remember him? He's the guy that's got to work with Woldemade on a fucking daily basis in the training ground, right? On his WhatsApp, listening to him over a Maz. Again, not a sponsored video. Nick Woltemade to play central role against FC Bayern Munich. This would have been, again, looking back, Mike Rutherford style, over my shoulder. Nick Woltemade to play central role against FC Bayern as Stuttgart boss addresses the transfer. Now it's called tension. I like that. There is palpable tension ahead of the showdown with the Bundesliga champions. Look, Stuttgart coach Sebastian Hoeneß says Nick Woltemade will play a central role. Hoeneß speaks about Woltemade and Bayern. The manager insists he's fucking going nowhere. I probably wasn't clear enough when I made that point in a previous section that he's got all the attributes of being a complete package at both number 9 and number 10. And also, he's going to be playing European football next season, right? So that's going to raise his profile. I mean, his agent will be happy, right? And we'll get onto him. Is it Danny Bachman? Anyway, we'll get onto him later on, his agent. But yeah, playing in European football. So he's going to raise his own game, right? Because he's got to, right? And if he's going to keep incrementally going up through the gears, as you would think he's done to this point in his career, bearing in mind he started it. Werder Brian won't be happy, would he?
Personally, and the channel knows this, we would love to see Nick Woltemade come back, because that feels like that was a criminal loss, letting that guy go a few years ago. See the reaction? See? That's how much it means?
Ghost Amada.
This guy will ghost me now. I've mentioned that. We'll never see each other again. But
he started off in Bremen, youth to gold. That's another football manager type concept, and that's what Woldemade's done, right? Despite the fact he's going to give Werder Brian nightmares. If I didn't give him enough nightmares already calling Werder Mike, it talks here in this article about the transfer offers coming in. They're fucking insulting. 40, 50, 60. I understand what they're doing. It's a bit like what I do when I negotiate on Vinted, is you come in at half and you sort of work up to a point where you want to get to. Dennis Bayer is a reporter for Sky Sports, got a big following, so obviously he's got a lot to say and it's very important. Woldemade transfer collapses, right? So out of nowhere, we found out the Woldemade potential deals collapsed. Bayern and VfB could not agree on a transfer fee after a long meeting. That was that video conference call on Blue Jeans. Other video conference calls, sources and solutions are available. Bayern offered 60 million euro plus bonuses, plus that, I assume, that 10% sell-on clause. VfB wanted 75 million, so at least they've come down a little bit. So let's give some credit. Let's give some credit to Bild, to Volgamuth. Yeah, they'll do, because Sebastian Hoeneß probably doesn't have too much of an impact on the commercials. Give them credit for coming down. I mean, they only came down 5. I mean, if you offered 60, you're more likely, I guess statistically, and I'd have to do something to give you some empirical evidence, but if you want 80, I come in at 40, you're probably going to end up around 68, right? That feels... And that's not outside of the realms of FC Bayern Munich's finances, which we'll come on to soon. I know I keep saying that, right? But it's a long video essay, Mackwell style. That's right. So this deal's collapsed. VfB came down to 75 million. Danny Bachman, here we go. Right, we're coming on to it now. Danny Bachman is the agent of Nick Woltemade and a handful, I think he's got 18 other players under his roster. But Nick Woltemade is by and large the most high profile of the group. This has also been reported by Florian Plettinger and Patrick Berger, not the ex-Liverpool attacking midfielder. Somebody else that writes for... he reports on... Where does he report? Oh, yeah, of course, he's the guy on the Deadline Dice show, isn't he? Yes, he's this guy. So there's a cabal. Matt, I'll enjoy that term. Aston Villa Matt. Yeah, there's a cabal of reporters, and we've got to trust them, right? Because... yeah, these are the effective establishment of reporting on Fussball Matters in the Bundesliga. So this is the day after now. This is August 14th. Again, still in that timeline. Bayern Munich feel rejected again. This is on goal.com. Nick Woldemade's agent lambasts. That's a big one. So we've gone from poker to tension to someone being lambasted. Lambasts Stuttgart for completely unfounded rejection of a €60 million offer. It does smack a little bit of a jilted ex-lover. Stuttgart turned down this offer for a third time, right? Once, twice, three times the lady. By the way, Jason Respawns. Alice lived next door. Who the fuck is Alice? Nick Woldemade's advisor voices blunt criticism. Stuttgart demanding 75. I mean, come on, they did want 80. They've come down 75. They haven't come down enough, with my business bread in mind. Anyway, Danny Bachmann was furious, right? So he's lambasting because he's furious. As he told the media, what's the bigger picture? The bigger picture is Woldemade staying where he is, isn't it, really? Although, let's get a quote from Danny Bachmann here. Look, sounds like a Jewish name, doesn't it, Danny Bachmann? The solution demanded by Alexander Mr. Verl, at least he called him Mr., which does seem a bit like fucking, it's a bit savage, isn't it? Or maybe not. Maybe this is the formality of how people talk to each other in Germany. The solution demanded by Mr. Verl this week was questionable, within a questionable deadline, was delivered today. The total package from the interested party and the players' side totaling more than 60 million plus, I think it was 10%, right, originally, that we saw in a previous offer. The supervisor's response was, this is on Stuttgart's side, sorry. They want 70 million, which is outside the market for a player who, and you'll remember this, right? Because we showed you the screenshot. Werder Brian, look away. He came on a free transfer, right? But with a lower mid-salary range classification. It's not completely unfounded. So what he's trying to say is, effectively, you got this guy for free. You're not paying him a great amount of money. I want my guy to go and earn a big fucking amount of money. And actually, you'll get 10%. Maybe more, maybe 12% of that resale value. It's not a fucking bad deal if you think about it. Just on that, by the way, we did some research. I'm not sure I can really feel comfortable putting it on the screen. Anyway, go to Capology and do it yourself. According to Capology, which is a website that sort of estimates, I assume it estimates, players' salary, right here, right now, Chemical Brothers style, Nick Woldemade, he's earning he's earning less than €10,000 a week. Now, to your eye, that's a big fucking deal. Again, this is fussball. This is Fantasyland. This is a completely different industry where your careers, the amount of time you can actually spend at your peak is probably going to be 7 or 8 years. I think it has actually been mathematically proven that, a top athlete playing fussball, your career is about 7 or 8 years, so why not try and earn as much as you can? I would fucking want to do it. Anyway, so let's assume then, let's anchor that one in the ground. Nick Woldemade, right now, his commodity value has gone through the roof, as we know, because I've been fucking filling an entire video full of it, right? He's earning less than €10,000 a week, which, let's just put that in some context, right? His striking partner, or the guy that he interchanges with, there's either number 10, number 9, Dennis Undav, is on €86,000 a week. €86,000 a week. That's a big fucking difference, right?
Just a few.
He's a lot older. What is he? 20, 27, 28. So he's in his prime, right? That's a big fucking difference. And again, then we could, just to keep this in more context, and again, this might be a spoiler for you. Spoiler! FC Bayern Munich fans, but I'm sure that the likes of Dishy Danny and Liam from the Bayern View, Dishy Danny from Always Bayern Chelsea, and Liam from the Bayern View have kept you informed that Paul Wanner's gone, right? Paul Wanner, the young man that was, first of all, he was out on loan at SV Elfsberg, I believe it was Elfsberg. Horse! Then he went to Heidenheim last season, and now he's gone to PSV, but he's gone on a permanent basis, and they're giving him the number 10 shirt.
Clap that in.
That is...
Fucking love that.
Anyway, again, we'll deal with that later on. Paul Wanner, by the way, at FC Bayern Munich, was on 38,000. So Paul Wanner's younger than Nick Woldemade. Okay, his stock is probably not as high, but he's earning more money. And this was... I guess this was before he joined PSV, so it could have doubled, right, by now, if not tripled, right? And then just to really put a bow on it, Harry Kane, by the way, yes, He's now won 2 trophies. He's a serial bagsman. Hasn't won anything for England, but he's been in plenty of finals, right? Didn't win anything at Spurs. Incredible goal scorer. €480,000 per week. €480,000 per week. What do we say about Nick? Bless Nick. Under 10,000. Technically, it's 9,038. That's the estimate. Fucking hell, right? So if that's not his incentive to go and move, I mean, it's a big variable, right? Earnings potential's increased. Higher profile, sponsorship deals, maybe getting interviewed by the like of the German football spotlight. That's probably what he really wants, isn't it? He wants to be featured on this fucking channel. And he could go and win things at FC Bayern, right? So yeah, just keep that in mind. Harry Kane, 480,000. Paul Wanner, what did we say? Paul Wanner, before going to PSV, was on €38,000 a week. Dennis Undav, who plays literally next to him, either in front or behind him, €86,000 a week. Nick Woltemade is on less than 10. And here's some visual confirmation of Danny Bachman, who's the executive director of his player agency, Headtrick GmbH, which is effectively a limited company suffix in Germany. Yeah, Headtrick, that's his agency. And here's his roster of players. You can see the different, well, a spread of ages, right? 18, 19, 21, 30-year-old, 24, 25, 24, 24. FC Bayern Munich have proven then that they have got the resources, right? All right, they came in with an insulting first offer of €40 million. Was it 40 million plus 5? And then it went to 50 plus 5 with a 10% resale value. Then it got to 60. So they've got the money, right? So it feels remiss not to call out the fact that they do feature on the Forbes, right? So it's got some credence. The Forbes list of the world's most valuable soccer teams. And I should point out as an asterisk, this isn't the money that they've got in their bank accounts or what they report on their earning sheets, right? This is valuation, which, you know, it's going to be like, yes, I have been through this experience before. You value a company different ways. You could value it by a multiple of their earnings, which is effectively what's gone on here, right? So anyway, world's most valuable soccer teams will come down the list. It'll be no surprise then that number 1 is Real Madrid. And again, this is valuation, right? Valuation of 6.75 billion, right? It is a fucking established brand. It is all about brand awareness if you think about it. People complain, don't they, about, oh, football's just a business. Well, it always has been a business, right? Because in order to win competitions, in order to then sell merchandise, in order to then just make it a self-fulfilling prophecy, you've got to treat it as a business, right? You've got to get in the best players for the right price. You've got an academy that you don't have to pay for, a bit like Werder Bremen, who ultimately are the ones that seem to be suffering out of this, right? Because they put all the fucking hard yards into Nick Woltemade and then let him go on a free. Oh my God. It's all about profit. It's the same for players. It's the same, which is why actually putting a 10% resale value on someone is fucking sensible, because you're going to see that money come back at some point anyway. So it is pretty savvy what both clubs, to be fair, have tried to achieve. I just feel sorry for Werder Bremen. Anyway, Real Madrid, the world's most valuable soccer team, with a valuation, according to Forbes, of 6.75 million. Fuck it. This is dollars, by the way, so let's not get too upset. Man United in second, Barcelona third. Come down to 6th place. FC Bayern Munich's valuation, according to Forbes, is 5.1 billion. 5.1 billion. A year-on-year change of an increase in 2%. It's owned by its members, which is fascinating. Although they have the 50+1 rule, right, in Germany. Although they do that again. Let's give them some fucking credit. Let's give credit to the likes of Jan Christian Driesen, Herbert Heiner, Max Eberl. Maybe not Christoph Front, because he's more on the player side, isn't he? But that's not to give him credit, by the way. Because don't forget, Christoph Front is the guy that found a lot of talent when he was at RB Salzburg, not Leipzig. He did find a lot of talent, right? So he's proved he can do it before. I'll have to put the name on the screen of some famous people. I think he might have found... Did he find the fucking king? Did he find Conrad Lima, King Conrad? Anyway, my point is, the revenues, which again, I assume, the valuation here is a multiple of X number of times revenue. The revenues, as reported in 2020, this would have been 23, 24, is 827 million, right? So, again, yes, they've got to pay Harry Kane his 480,000 euro a week. They've got to pay the Paul Wanners 32 or 36,000 a week. They were paying Kingsley Coman around about 200, was it 300? I think Serge Gnabry's on 320,000. Coman and the like are on fucking big money. So 280 to 300,000 euro a week. Yes, they've got to pay that talent. They've got to run the club. They've got a big backroom staff. They've got to pay their management team. I understand all that. However, Bayern Munich announces 1 billion turnover at AGM. This was in December last year, December of 24. They're on the screen, look. 1017 and then 6 zeros, right? You can't see now. Oh, you can see actually. Bayern Munich presented financial records at the club's AGM meeting on Sunday. For the first time in history, Bayern Munich managed a financial turnover of over 1 billion, right? Over 1 billion. Yes, I know that they're not just a soccer club, are they? They've got basketball, handball, netball, chess, right? There are lots of little subsidiaries of sport clubs, but let's be real, right? It's about fussball, isn't it? It's about the football club, the fussball club that is FC Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich announced that total profit had risen. This is in December. I believe they're quoting numbers from, the 23-24 financial year, so we're a bit behind. But anyway, that's the way that business reporting goes. Same when you're doing you're submitting a tax return. I'm self-employed, so you're always in arrears, right? Anyway, Bayern Munich announced a total profit rise by 15%. That's $66 million, right? That's profit, pure profit, right? The net profit increased by 21% to $45 million, right? And again, there's CFO Michael, I can never pronounce it, Diedrich. So he's part of the supervisory committee. He's the CFO. He says, we can proudly announce that we've got no debts. FC Bayern Munich have no fucking debt. Let's clap that one in, right? In addition, it's announced that it's reached 382,000 registered members, of which Dishy Danny have always buying Chelsea, and I'm assuming Liam, they're both paid up members. I'm not sure what it costs you. Please leave it in the comment section down below, or if you don't want to, for whatever, because I don't think it's different. It's going to be like one fee and tiered, right? I'd be intrigued to know, or maybe I'll put it up on the screen anyway, what it costs to be a member. We're not, by the way, although we probably should look into it, but again, we're agnostic, aren't we? We are Deutsche Fußball Bund, DFL, Deutsche Fußball League, agnostic, although we do a lot of content about FC Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich remains the soccer club with the most members worldwide, in profit by at least $66 million, and they've passed $1 billion in turnover. It's just fucking incredible. And despite all that, they still went in with an opening offer of 40 million euro for Nick Woltemade. Don't worry, we are in the final stretch, I promise. And this is where it gets tasty, right? As reported by Sky.de, so we're assuming that's the likes of Toby Altschaffel, Florian Plettinger, those crew, right? Max Eberl has now said there was a goal to save money during the rest of the transfer window. And again, the transfer window in Germany, for the Bundesliga at least, ends on the 1st of September. We're recording this on the 22nd. The season starts this evening, which is great. FC Bayern Munich are hosting RB Leipzig. That's the first game of the 25/26 season, right? So the transfer window is still open until September 1st. Fucking hell. So Uli Hoeneß, Jan Christian Driesen and Deirdre, Michael Deirdre, the CFO, have come to Max Eberl, who's the sporting 50% of the sporting boss, and said to him, you've got to save money, sunshine, right? The impetus now is really on loans, right? And if you know about Football Manager, you know about Zealand, he's got his own merch lines, hasn't he? And he always bangs on about loans, right? Yeah, loans work. I mean, obviously, yeah, it works for all clubs, but like in the context of Football Manager, loans work if you're doing like a Taff man. The Taff man 10, the Taff man 10, the Taff man 10. Get him singing. He loves a bit of Bob Marley. He's doing a race to get into the Football League, right? He's starting in tier 10 in England with Calm Town. Up the Lily Whites, up the Lily Whites, up the Lily Whites. Not easy for me to say. When you're starting in tier 10, fucking hell, yeah, you get what you can. You beg, steal and borrow. You know, if you find someone, you ask if he's got a brother, a cousin, a nephew, right? Someone that can come in and play for your team. Loans are crucial, right? Loans are crucial if you're, used to be Vanarama, right? The Vanarama, if you're a non-league side. If you're in League 2, League 1, Championship, fuck's sake, right? Loans are important. Not if you're FC Bayern Munich and you've just reported, in the public domain, by the way, at your own AGM, that you've just, for the first time in your history, you've hit the $1 billion revenue mark, right? There's something going wrong. I feel like I am missing something. Again, I am 2 sandwiches short of a picnic. I will admit that. However, yeah, there's something not quite right to go from all that bravado, that ego, look at it flexing our muscles, to then go, well, you can only bring in loans. So this to me highlights as a problem. There's a breakdown somewhere, there's some tension, there's some friction between Max Eberl, Christoph Front, well, I guess they're a united front, right? There's a breakdown between them and the supervisory board, right? There's a palpable breakdown here. Let's skip this forward then, right? So this is pretty much the same information. Max Eberl confirms our information. This is Florian Plettinger reporting for Sky.de. Confirms that Eberl's got a mandate to only bring in loans until deadline day. The club have decided that we want to save money. The mandate is to bring in a player on loan. We have to accept that. We need to be creative and find solutions, but it is not easy. Now, for all the shit that I might have given this guy in previous videos, it does feel like this guy has been thrown under the bus, and he's been thrown under the bus, in our opinion, by Ollie Hoeneß, right? There's something, yeah, again, I'm not... You can do your own research, right? But there's something not quite right here. We'll move on again. This is just somebody commenting on X. Overall balance of plus 23 million euro this transfer window, 95 million in income, 72 million spent. Of course, you did bring in Luis Diaz. Around 40 million freed up on the wage bill, which again, yes, it's true, right? Max Eberl has been charged with reducing the wage bill because again, it's no. Well, we're going to get to it in about 2 seconds, but the supervisory board at FC Bayern is predominantly made up of big fucking business magnets, right? Again, the 50+1 rule in Germany is solid, and I hope it never changes, right? Because it means no one can do what they do in England and the rest of the world. You can't have a guy who claims to be a billionaire in the Philippines come in and completely trash your football club. It can't happen in Germany, right? But they're trying to get around it because you've got, well, you'll see in a second anyway, right? Let's just crack on with this. So 50 million euro earned from the Club World Cup. Don't forget, they got to the semi-final. Yeah, was it the semi-final? I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, got to the semi-final, earned 50 million euro from that. And this guy's telling me that we can only sign someone on loan. It does seem a bit strange. And again, they're quoting themselves. Why are Bayern not able to spend money this summer when we freed up at least 60 million euros? 60 million has been freed up because there's no Thomas Muller. He's basically been shit canned, hasn't he? Leroy Sané was sold on to Galatasaray. Kingsley Coman has been sold on to Al Nasser in the Saudi Arabian project. João Palhinha has gone on loan to Jack's Yidami to Tottenham. I don't know why I did that. That's for Josh. And Eric Dyer's gone to Monaco, right? So all that salary has been shaved off the budget. So surely Max Eberl should be getting a fucking pat on the back that is actually fulfilling his criteria, yeah? Apparently not. And this is an article that was on OneFootball, a great streaming service that we like bring your own booze effectively, right? Bring your own booze because you bring your own commentary, right? You get the visuals, you get the footage. Usually it's like a pay-per-view model, right? So you go, I will watch that random game in Czechia
I think he likes
and I'll
it.
pay €2.99 for it, but you've got to bring your own commentary. Anyway, this is an article on OneFootball. Bayern's internal conflict, success and squad depth. That's the needs from one camp or one corner, if you're going to use a boxing metaphor. Angelo Stiller would like that, wouldn't he? Success and squad depth in one corner versus finances and the future are in another. It quotes here Ollie Hoeneß. He made a comment to this outlet. He strongly recommends filling out the squad with a lone player who is signed until June 2026. This quote here from Uli Hoeneß is the reason we're making this video, really.
Nice.
It probably smacks a lot of something fishy going on with a lot of UFC Bayern Munich fans. FC Bayern supervisory board member, that's Uli Hoeneß who sits on there, has left his sporting management crew, the sporting director, Bros, Max Eberl and Christoph Freund, I'd say puzzled, probably fucking tearing their hair out after they've met the requirement to save money and cut the squad. We've just talked about the players that have been sold on. There's a conflict of interest. Eberl and co need to invest and achieve short-term success to survive. I mean, probably for their own jobs, right? Their own employment. But the supervisory board don't want to spend fortunes on players that they're not fully convinced about. Do you remember? During the summer, there was a certain guy they're after, weren't they? What was his name? What was it, Gonzo? Feel free to put the answer in the comment section down below. I'm shitting you. Fucking Florian Wirtz. They had the money, allegedly, for Florian Wirtz, except they fluffed their lines, didn't make the right impression on... Is it Hans? Bubby? Hans, isn't it? Hans Wirtz, Florian's father. Of course, his mum and dad run his rights, effectively, his image rights, his marketing rights, his contracts. Yeah, they look after him like an agent, right? Didn't leave the right impression then, did they? But the money was available. That's the fucking point I'm trying to make. The money, which was ridiculous. I mean, in the end, he signed for Liverpool FC in the English Premier League for what? €140 million plus a load of add-ons as well. But the point is, at one point in the summer, FC Bayern had the money to make that transfer happen. Where's it gone? Where's that money gone then, right? If you can't afford €75 million for Nick Woltemade, which would tick all the criteria for long-term succession planning for Harry Kane, but right here, right now, Chemical Brothers style, would fill a hole left by Jamal Musiala. You can move the team around with the pieces that you've got. I'm sure Vincent Kompany's thinking, oh, God. Oh, I can't go back to Burnley, can I? Because Scott Parker ball. Anyway... for once, Hoeneß sees things the same way as Lothar Matthäus, of course, an FC Bayern and Deutschland legend. It's better not to sign anyone and give the young players a chance. And it broke down, didn't it, with Paul Vanna? Because, of course, Paul Vanna he was sold, wasn't he? Was it 50? Maybe it was €80 million. Paul Vanna, by the way, a young lad, is now going to play as a number 10 shirt for PSV in the Eredivisie. And they'll be going on another Champions League campaign. So actually, the last laugh, Paul Wanner, is with you, sunshine. Well fucking done, mate. Well done.
Love that.
Eberl notes the losses of Muller, Sané, Coman, Tel, and the injured Musiala. With only Luis Diaz and youthful names coming in, Eberl demands more squad depth in order to compete for titles, which is why he's after the likes of Christopher and Kunku, but they can only get him on loan, can't they? Which is fucking mad. The Bayern bosses apparently are playing, and that to me sounds like Uli Hoeneß he's pulling the strings there, isn't he? Uli Hoeneß is planning a major squad overhaul for next summer, that's summer 2026, when decisions will need to be made for players with expiring contracts, the likes of the Builder, Serge Gnabry, LA Fitness, Leon Goretzka, and Rafael Guerrero. He's a utility player that's just getting overlooked, right? Max. Sit down, Max. Your job, Max, is to get players out. Reduce the salary bill, not fucking increase it. Get rid of people. Within the club of FC Bayern Munich, it is said that Max Eberl didn't need to sell Kingsley Coman. The supervisory board was surprised when Eberl came up with the idea of signing a replacement after Coman was sold. The belief of the club bosses is that a candidate, a replacement, should have been presented as part of a comprehensive package before selling Coman and not afterwards. Eberl, for his part, sold the Frenchman because since taking office a year and a half ago, he was given instructions, which I would argue have been fucking explicit, to reduce the squad and cut the salary. Eberl had expected, though, maybe that's the problem, isn't it, really? Because what is assumption makes an ass out of you and me. Eberl expected that he'd be allowed to reinvest the money in a replacement, but instead, he's been sent out to get people back into loans. And let's just put the infrastructure of FC Bayern into perspective. On your screen, ladies and gentlemen, is Jan Christian Driesen. He's the CEO of the company, right? The CEO of the company that is FC Bayern, is it AG or GmbH, whatever, right? He's the CEO. Working with him, arguably under him, is the executive vice chairman, who happens to be the CFO, Dr. Michael Diedrich, Dr. Michael Diedrich, right? So he's the CFO of the company. Max Eberl, as we know, he weirdly board member for sport. I mean, that sounds like a politician's title, right? Yeah, board member for sport. And funny, what's interesting is that not listed on that section of the website, which, by the way, if you go to it, is under club/company, not Vincent Company with a K, company with a C. Christoph Frund, he's not listed there. Sporting director, right? He's not listed. He's just tucked away somewhere, which again is, well, I know it is. Whoever designed their website and whoever's put the infrastructure together, probably not aware of how, again, prophetic and symbolic that is, right, of this club. Here's your supervisory board, and again, Herbert Heiner's the president, Dr. Jan Heinemann's general counsel and compliance officer. We've got Dr. Gernot Dollner, who's the chairman of Audi. Fucking hell, right? Audi. Dr. Werner Zedilius, senior advisor, Allianz. Again, Audi, Allianz. Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. Dr. Jan Heinemann, general counsel and chief compliance officer, Adidas, right? So, and obviously then you've got Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, former CEO. I think he stepped down 3 years ago. He's in that documentary. You can find it. We found it on Amazon. It was about the 2021 season, the one where Hansi Flick wins the septuple, but then bows out under the pressure because he wants to manage Deutschland. You got the former president of Bavaria and Dieter Meier, who's EV senior vice president. Oh, and this guy who's board member, Deutsche Telekom, USA in group development. Because, of course, the way to grow that $1 billion revenue annually and make it 1.5 to 4 billion is to spread your tentacles around the world, which they're doing, by the way. They have opened offices recently. They opened an office, I'm not sure if I'm confusing that with FIFA under Gianni Infantini just opened an office in New York City, in Manhattan, in the fucking Trump Tower, China, right? I know FC Bayern Munich have got offices in the US. They have got presence in in Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, probably other parts of China, because it makes sense, because you can sell merchandise and you can send the team out there, you can play live matches, you can just build the brand awareness equals commercial success. And every single fucker on this supervisory board wants commercial success because they're a business magnet in their own right. Adidas, Audi, Allianz. Absolutely makes sense, right? So yeah, there is a friction between we want to steady the finances and invest in the future versus the sporting bros of Max Eberl and Christoph Frund that have got to solve the problems right here, right now. This is one of the smallest squads I've ever played in. This is Harry Kane, by the way. There's still time in the transfer window before it closes, and decisions could be made by the executive board member for sport. So Harry Kane's very well media trained, isn't he? Of course, he's calling out Max Eberl and he's cutting out Christoph Frund. Got his own section on the website, by the way, just tucked away at the back. We have some young players who have done very well in pre-season. Lennox Karl, Kusta Masari, Wisdom Mike. Tom Bischoff, you could class as a young, but he's more established anyway. You get my point. But the squad's a bit thin. But that is not in the player's control. So he's playing the right game there. The point is, it is a fucking tiny squad, isn't it? As called out by Harry Kane. This is the same quote again. Look, it's probably one of the smallest squads I've played in. That, by the way, is from CF Bayern Insider, which is Christian Falk, isn't it? Who's a Fabrizio Romano character, basically. And if you look, thanks to Stefan and Manu of Transfer Market, you can see the squad. All right, Paul Wanner's still listed there, but he's now playing for PSV. It is tiny, right? And it's also, there's not a lot of seniority. Not a lot of senior players. There's the legend that is King Conrad Laimer. And just to put this into some perspective, here's the predicted provisional lineup for this evening's game between FC Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig. This is the lineup. I draw your attention, though, to Exhibit A. And Exhibit A is injured and suspended players. Tom Bischoff, I mean, yeah, I did see Dishy Danny say we are FC Hospital, and it's every day he wakes up and he's like, he has to double, not double cross, double take.
I meant it.
He has to double take to see if anyone's tripped over a bug. Tom Bischoff's just had an appendix operation, right, which is, considering his age, is quite feasible. But he's going to be out until mid-September. Fonzie Davis, we've known, has been out for with a cruciate ligament injury for quite a while, sustained whilst on business, on business until with Canada under Yank Lampard, isn't it? Under Jesse Souza. He's out till early December. Hiroki Ito, he's out until September. He missed most of last season anyway, right? If not all of it. And of course, Jamal Musiala had his leg broken in a 50-50 challenge, in his own words, by the way, with Donnarumma off PSV in that FIFA Club World Cup game. So you can see there's the squad look. Yeah, there'll be people on the bench, but it's fucking thin, isn't it? It really is thin, to the point where, actually, loans would save the club. So I think in a summary then, let's put it this way. Nick Woltemade is an incredible talent. He, in his breakout season, scored 17 times, came up with 3 assists. He's lauded by former professional athletes, former Bundesliga players like Claudio Pizarro of FC Bayern Munich, like Cacao, the guy from Brazil that ended up playing for Germany, playing for Deutschland at the World Cup in South Africa. Cacao, right? Ex-pros can see the talent that he's got. He's got a Thomas Muller brain. He can play number 9, number 10. He would fit into FC Bayern perfectly. It could be a long-term replacement for Harry Kane, whilst satisfying a need in the present day, because of course they've got injuries, as we've just highlighted. It feels clear that FC Bayern are going to win the Bundesliga again. We've predicted that in our prediction video.
Spoiler!
So is Dishy Danny.
Next step, which is hopefully winning the Bundesliga again. I'd like to see a double. I think they should really try to win the Pokal this year as well. And I don't expect them to win the Champions League, but I'd like them to make a deep run.
That's the point, I think, where in order to go from being this domestic juggernaut, behemoth, and then translate that onto the global scale. I know the Champions League is really only in Europe, but it's got global eyeballs on it, right? To go from locally being the big fish in a small pond to being a big fish in a bigger pond, you've got to make these signings, right? You've got to think about planning for the future, about its success and plans. You've got the money. You've announced it. The AGM knows it. Everyone knows it thanks to Forbes. You're over $1 billion revenue company.
I'm really rich.
And you've got your tentacles everywhere in the Americas, in the Asia Pacific region, right? You've got the infrastructure, you've got the brand recognition, you've got the money coming in. What's stopping you from signing Nick Woltemade? Is it Ollie Hoeneß? Is it that fascist dictator mentality? Is it the mentality of a dying man that just wants to go out with one last bang? He's not very well, is he, bless him? He was rushed into hospital recently with a burst blood vessel. Is that a sign of stress? Is that because he's got more taxes that he's hiding? I mean, that's true though, right? That's not me clickbaiting it. It's true. Go and read about it. He went to prison, the guy, right, for not paying his taxes. I think this is more a case of, it's the finances of the future versus the success of the now. That's where your clash is coming in. I won't be surprised if Max Edball gets pushed out the door during the season, if not next summer, when there's this planned Football Manager style rebuild squad kind of hack and slash going on. I won't be surprised by that. Anyway, Nick Woltemade to FC Bayern Munich is still, and it feels, Gonzo, like we could have done this video in a 30-second précis. Nick Woltemade is still a VfB Stuttgart player, right?
Oh,
he's still there. And the question mark remains if he comes to FC Bayern Munich or goes to Chelsea or Napoli, right? It's not happening for now, unless someone comes up with €75 million plus some add-ons plus 10% sell-on fee. He ain't going anywhere, people. FC Bayern Munich fans, what do you think of that? What do you think of that? It's a fucking long video. I know. If you got this far, go and get yourselves a biscuit, as he used to say to Matt, Aston Villa Matt. Go and get yourselves a biscuit. Go and have a lie down in the dark room like Gonzo and I are going to do after this. But again, thank you so much if you have got this far. Thank you for all your support. Again, we broke the 150 subscriber mark recently, which is exciting. Thank you so much. We're going now. Alvida's saying ciao, 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 ciao.